So the question comes to me, how do I start my country in Victoria 3? I've said this in other places, but I'll say it again because it bears repeating. You want to find one or two provinces that you could focus development on and use those as the kernel for your industrialization. I call that finding your inner Belgium because Belgium is a great example. You take a look here. I'm playing as Belgium right now. It's got two amazing provinces. We'll start with Flanders. It's got 2.49 million people, and if we look at the population, we've got 330K peasants there. Now that's great because peasants are going to be the first group of people to go off and get into better agricultural or resource extraction or industry jobs in the cities. Their lot in life is terrible. They want to get something better than that. So by building out these industries, building out these other more profitable areas, they'll leave those behind, those subsistence farms behind, and join your industry. The next source is going to be from birth and immigration, population increase. Those are going to be pulling in there as well. And by having a good standard of living, having good things that make people happy, like more rights and better voting and all this other stuff there, it makes people want to come to your country. And by bringing them in, you're able to give them a place to stay. Now, if you are anti-immigration, well, you're just going to have to deal with the population you have and suffer as the pro-immigration nations bring in more people and industrialize more. They can have more people. They have a bigger GDP, bigger army, bigger everything. It just pays to have more people in Victoria 3. It's a good thing. It's just a good thing. If you want to argue, you're going to lose. I'm just sorry there. Anyway, some of you may also be asking, what's the deal with the hand here? Well, every now and then I get a little tightness in my hand, a little bit of pain. So I put this glove on. It's got this wrist support on it. I've also got a little thing I have on my arm. It just helps to alleviate things. I do it temporarily. And then when it's feeling better, I'm good again. So anyway, nice little tip there for your health. But back to your gain health here. Flanders, 330K peasants. Wallonia's got 168K peasants. That's another good number. Not as many as Flanders. But wait till you see what's in Wallonia here. Look at those resources. Never mind the industries. Never mind the agriculture. Look at the resources. Coal, iron, sulfur. These are very important industrial resources. Lead, you kind of need that, well, for making ammunition. It's going to be very important later on when we get into electricity stuff, like telephones and other electrical goods like that. They need the lead for the batteries and connections and all that, but it's not used that much right now. But the sulfur, the iron, and the coal, we need those things. So this is a great place to build those and to build the industries that build on them. What do I mean by that? Well, you have coal. Let's take that for example. Coal is what's considered a primary good. You pull it out of the ground, there it is. You got lumps of coal. Now, some goods can be consumed like that, and coal can be consumed as a primary good. I put coal in my furnace. If I have a coal furnace, it heats it up, burns it. I now get heat. Hooray! Grain is another primary good. I take the grain, crush it into flour, put the flour into water and yeast, heat that up. Oh, I got bread. I eat. I live. I survive. So grain and coal can both be primary goods. But coal can also be an input for another stage in development. So if we click on coal mines here, we see, they turn tools into coal. Okay. People and tools working together make coal. Great. Let's click on the coal. That takes us to the market page for coal. See how the map changed there and it lit up my face. And we go to applications. Now that tells us where coal comes from. Coal mines. In case you were wondering, little Timmy, coal comes from coal mines. Where can it be used? Look at all the applications for coal. Why, you could use coal in furniture, tooling, paper mills, steel mills, motor industries, shipyards, military shipyards, arms industries. Okay. We get the picture. Some of these are going to do it more so than others. You notice that it's also used in mines, like iron mines. And you can highlight over it and it'll show you, right now you need 10 coals per level of iron mine. As we change methods of production and we become more mechanized, more industrialized, coal becomes more important. So that's an important thing to do. But definitely things like an artillery foundry and a steel mill, they use coal to, well, not really here. I mean, it says I need iron and hardwood. Maybe there's a later method there, but definitely steel mill. Steel mill. And we need steel to industrialize with. Steel needs coal and iron. Well, if you've got coal and iron in the same state as you've got your steel mill, that is a great synergy. A synergy is where you put things together and they work better that way. So instead of having to take the coal and the iron all the way to another state where there's a steel mill, you've got the coal and the iron right there where you have your steel mill, and they have just a direct connection almost. They have a shorter way to go, so it's cheaper to get the coal from the mine to the industry because they're closer to each other, less transport cost. That kind of synergy is something you want to be able to build with. Now, we said Wallonia had a lower population of peasants to work with. So maybe I want to put in some kind of decrees that will help me increase the population there while I also pursue other legal strategies. To do that, I go to my politics, I look at laws, and anything here that looks like it's a relic of the medieval times or absolute monarchy, get rid of them. Go to something more modern, like health system. Get rid of no health system. Go to private. Go to public health insurance. Except I can't right now. They don't like that. Okay, well, what about religious schools? Get rid of them. Go to public schools. Everybody likes the public schools a lot more than the other ones. Make better education. Legal guardianship. No. Give women more rights. That will help attract more people there. Get more voting in there. Where's our voting? Wealth voting? No. Go to universal suffrage. Go all the way, baby. And more people will want to come to your country when you have greater liberties. When you're a land of freedom and opportunity, people will flock to your shores. That was the secret of the United States. And then when they banned immigration, then they stopped being a land of freedom and opportunity, and they kind of started to lag behind China at that point. You didn't see it right away, but it was coming because demographically, there's more people in China. It's just how it works out that way. Where I was like, oh yes, back to Belgium and all that. All right, so we want to encourage more people to come here. We could do that by doing a couple of things. One, building more businesses there by creating job vacancies. They're going to move in. That's one. Two is to go with decrees. So the question is, I have these decrees and I only got 2 states I could use them in. Which 2 do I apply them for? Well, encouraging construction makes sense in both Flanders and Wallonia. If I'm going to build in both states, I should put that in there. Encourage innovation. If I'm going to build universities in both states, encourage innovation to make the universities produce more power there. With a smaller country, decrees are going to be much more important uses for your authority than raising new taxes. If you look at encouraging manufacturing or agricultural or resource industry, you find out what the biggest part of the GDP of that state is, encourage that type of industry, and it's making 20% more of it. Like if I put in a lot of coal and iron mines in Wallonia and I want to get more out of them, encourage that resource industry. I want to get more grain out of Flanders. Let's go with the agricultural industry. But if they're making a lot of stuff, if that's where the steel and the artillery and the tools, if I'm making lots of those, that's manufacturing, and I get 20% more of that, 20% more throughput, then that means 20% more taxes that come off of those, and 20% more profit from trade because I make more stuff that I can trade with. This is going to help a lot. It's going to also make where if they're inputs for other things, like remember that coal and iron? Well, if that stuff is cheaper in my domestic market, then it makes the industries that depend on it more profitable because they're getting that stuff at a cheaper price. So I make more of it, it goes down in price. The things that depend on it, they're still getting the same price for their finished good, but now that it costs less to make it, the space in between the two, that's more profit. And then with the more profit, they get more excited about it, and the people come in and they fill up the jobs, and hooray, we're growing our economy. Oh, it was such a little thing before. Now it's a big industrialized thing. That's a wonderful way to go. So your decrees are going to be very important. And if you're a larger nation, you may not load up all the decrees you can on a particular area. like here in Flanders and Wallonia, there's just the two provinces. I could stack all the decrees I want on there until I run out of authority points, still make plenty of tax, and I'm building things out there, and they're making lots of profit that way. It's a fantastic game to play. So what if I'm doing something like I'm Prussia or France? Well, find the two best provinces there and treat them like a Belgium. In those cases, you may want to focus on encourage construction. Wherever you have the most universities, encourage innovation there and build your stack of universities there so that way you get the best benefit from that. 20% more throughput there for your universities. That's a great deal. And if you put arts academies on there too, and you have the hegemony or whatever, if you have your coalition block thing that gets you bonuses for art academies, that's even better there. But anyway, what I'm saying is, yeah, innovation is good for where you have your universities. If you don't have universities, don't use that one. If you've got a place that has a lot of bureaucracy buildings, like France has got a ton of them in Paris, and if you have low bureaucracy numbers up here in the corner, if it's like minus something, get your efficient administration, drop it on top of that area where you've got all that stuff there. Get a boost. That helps instead of having to build things right away. You may still want to build them for the long term, but you want to get that out of the way so you can have that there. And again, encouraging the industries in those areas. Greener grass campaign. My gosh, you're going to have more migration attraction to that area. That's a huge boost. A huge boost. The greener grass. I mean, most of the time when I started the game, I was going like, oh man, no one's going to my Sinai. No one's going to my Suez Canal. I'll put greener grass there. And it worked, and I got a canal. Well, now canals will already attract people, so I don't need it for that. And I find that having greener grass really does bring people into areas where I'm trying to grow them industrially. So let's take a look at these other places in the world and see what would be good ideas for development. Now, why did I click there? That was the wrong button to click. I meant to click. I wanted to get off of decrees. There we go. Okay, like over here in Britain. Let's take a look at the Midlands. Okay, Midlands has got coal, iron, sulfur, and plenty of room for them. What about the population? 287,000 peasants. That's a great place. The Midlands are one of the potential Belgiums of England. What about Yorkshire? 53k peasants? No, not as big. Lancashire? No. I mean, come on, 287k, that's pretty big there. 189k in Wales. Okay, I'm interested. And for resources, they've got coal. Not quite like the Midlands where we've also got the iron. All right, what about home counties? Their resources, nah, just coal. And very small number of unemployed. No peasants to speak of there. They have already maxed out their industry there. And just looking over here, lowlands, okay, and coal and iron there. So lowlands and midlands, that makes sense. Highlands, don't see a lot of coal or iron. What about Ulster here? No, not a lot there either. I see some iron there, some lead. No, you know what? If I'm going to pick two provinces on the British Isles, I'll take the lowlands and midlands. And those would be where I would want to focus my energies. What about the US of A? Okay, well, let's see what Mr. Jackson's got here. In New York, iron, but no coal. But the population has got 140k peasants. That's pretty big, especially for the US. It's got a small population to start. Pennsylvania's got 112k, and you look there, coal, iron. Oh, yeah, that's got great stuff. And it's got a lot of agriculture there, too. Ohio is another place that's got the coal. So, I mean, you could put coal there, and you got your iron here in New York, split the difference. But Pennsylvania is a really good place there. I'd say Pennsylvania and New York would be my two candidates. And if I build everything in New York, I can switch that over to Ohio. Those would be my two candidates for the United States for their Inner Belgium. What about France? France. Well, let's look at Ile-de-France. And hardly anything there. No. What about Alsace-Lorraine? which actually it should just be Alsace, and then this part of Lorraine should be attached to Lorraine, but I digress. 272K peasants. That's a good number. What about buildings? We could put in iron and coal. There's some industry potential there. What about Normandy? Population there, 566K peasants. Wow, that's a lot. What about buildings? It's got iron. All right. So maybe make it some more agricultural there. What about, where else do I have iron and coal? Do I have that in Champagne? No. Burgundy? No. Franche-Comté? No. Picardy? Orléans-Berry? Auvergne? Auvergne-Limousin has got coal and iron. That's good. What about the population there? 500K peasants. Okay, that's another potential Belgian area. Let's keep that in mind there. Poitou-Saint-Onge. Sorry, I should not say that there because I can't say it right. I'm just going to click through all the others here, and I really don't see a lot of coal-iron combination. What the last one is French Low Countries. Oh, they've got coal. Okay. C'est si bon. And some good numbers of peasants there. But I think if I went with Auvergne, Limousin, and Alsace-Lorraine as the two provinces for France's Belgium, that would make sense. Build those out. What about Prussia? Prussia. I'm going to go directly to Silesia. Because look at that bad boy. 472K peasants. And coal, iron, lead, sulfur. It's got everything. Next on the list, let's take a look at Westphalia. Coal, iron, sulfur. Beautiful. And 270K peasants. That is the most. I think that is second place. 270K there. Well, we do have 335 in Anhalt. We owe it a look at. Oh, they only got coal. And there was coal and iron in Westphalia. Yeah, they got a lot of peasantry there. A lot there in Posen, a lot in West Prussia. A good number in East Prussia. But if we take a look at the buildings again, we've got logging, sulfur, iron, fishing. In Brandenburg, we've got coal. Hooray. Yeah. If I'm going to build two provinces in Germany, two states, it's developing Westphalia and Silesia. Those are the Belgium of Prussia. What about Bavaria? Easy one there, because they've only got the three provinces. Rhineland, which is this little tiny thing here, with 40, about 110K. No. You want Franconia with 330K peasants and Bavaria with 242K. And look at the buildings there. Coal and iron in Bavaria. And, well, just iron in Franconia. So Bavaria is the Belgium of Bavaria, if this makes sense to you. Now, we're going into Austria. This is going to be interesting because Austria has got Bohemia, which has got loads of potential for coal, iron. Yeah, lots of industry can go there. Massive, almost 1 million peasants. Now, the catch is a lot of the people in Bohemia are discriminated against with Austria's racial discrimination policy. And in 1.8, that is going to be even worse than it is now in 1.7. And 1.8 comes out in about a week from the time I'm making this video. So if you're playing Austria now, enjoy it while you can. Yes, there's a lot of peasantry there. Yes, it's a great place to build. It's also a place that's possibly going to try to break away unless you can liberalize in Austria. And what's the next best one? Well, 530K here in Lombardy. And look at the potential there. Iron, lead. All right, I got some good stuff there. Venetia's got coal and sulfur. That's great. You put the two together. Go back to that population of 284K peasants, 530K peasants. That's fantastic. A great number of peasants there. Oh, but wait, they're also Italian. They're trying to break away and join Italy. Austria's biggest problem is that the greatest sources of resources in Austria are in non-German areas. If they can't convince them to stay nicely, they have to convince them to stay with cold hard facts and logic. And that plays hob with your knuckles after enough beating. So what I'm trying to say is Austria, unlike France and Prussia and Belgium and England and the United States. All of those areas have got their major resource production areas in places that have their primary culture. Austria has their primary resource extraction in areas not of its primary culture. It's in danger. So that's one thing to consider there. Now, Russia has gone through a big transformation in 1.7. Used to be, once upon a time, Moscow was this big province and it had like 1 million people. And well, no, that's just not the case anymore. 113K peasants, 838K in Tula. That's where they went to. Let's take a look at the buildings. Tula's got coal and iron. Not a lot, though. What about down here in Rostov? That's got coal. Kursk has got iron and sulfur. Kharkiv, coal and iron. Okay, I like that. 600K peasants. That's a good place to put things. What about Kiev? 686K. And we've got coal and iron. So it looks like this Ukrainian region of Russia is a good place for development. Now, again, it's a potential breakaway region. Do you go for it there, or do you try to just start clicking through other states to try to find other concentrations of coal and iron? And maybe you find them, and maybe you go, oh boy, like here it is. In Minsk, I got coal and I got iron. Oh wait, it's 8 and 5. That's not enough. And you may find some good combinations out here in the middle of nowhere, like, oh, here it is, Vyatka. It's got plenty of stuff, but it's also got a lot of peasants, and the infrastructure is not developed, and it's going to be difficult to unify that with the rest of the market. Russia is really tough because the best places to do your resource development are the parts closest to Europe, but there is also a potential breakaway. Not as bad as Austria's, but it's still a potential breakaway thing. So you want to be careful there. You want to make sure that where you build out your industry, you're able to hold on to it. So those are some guidelines there. I haven't done a lot with Ottoman Empire, so I can't even begin to talk about where to go there. But you're looking for coal and iron, places where they're being made together, so that way you build your steel factories on top of them, and then your other industry that depends on those goods to produce there. If you find an area that's got a large number of peasants but no good resources, maybe what you could do is, once you've got resources cooking in your inner Belgium, you could then go find your inner fields of wheat and change your focuses to increase production there, because you're not building anymore in the other ones. And then you work on building your agriculture. And grain is going to be very important in 1.8. You want to avoid starvation. You want to make a lot of grain. It's going to be very important. It's going to be a thing that everybody's crazy about. So make sure you do that. But yeah, so like for instance, in Prussia, if I'm done building for a while in Silesia and Westphalia, the industry is cooking along well. I've got a good market for them. Maybe now it's time to look at Posen. Maybe it's time to look at West Prussia and East Prussia. And those are resource poor, but agriculture rich. Work on the grain for those areas. That would be a good thing to do for them. Just an example. For Belgium, I would say probably Flanders is going to be the best place to grow stuff because, well, they don't have a lot of resources there. So make that where your arable land is developed, and make Wallonia where you have your resources pulled out. France is lucky. They've got a lot of areas like Normandy and Brittany, lots of peasants. They can go ham with their agriculture in those areas. And the United States has got lots of really good areas that would also be good for agricultural production. Great Britain as well. But again, you're looking at industrialization, and you want to build resource extraction that's going to feed into industries, and then industries that feed into other industries. And you can find that out by, you click on something, you click on the good, you click on applications, and it shows you what you need them for. And if you have them all in the same area or close to that area or within your market, those are the three things you're looking for. That helps to control prices and make things more profitable. And profits are what drive your GDP, get more people to move in. More people move in, your GDP goes up, you build more industry, and you have a happy growth cycle going on there. I hope this is helpful. If you got any more questions about it, let me know. I'd be happy to answer you there. We've got a great Discord server, so if you're looking for a place to discuss, We're very friendly over there. You come on in and we'll help you out. Until next time, ta-ta and farewell.